Hello, friends and enemies, and welcome to Ice is Slippery, an unserious podcast about hockey, brought to you by 1.5 hockey fans. My name is Kate, and I'm the one who's a whole entire hockey fan.
And my name's Fred. I am half a hockey fan.
How are you doing this week, Fred?
Pretty good. I don't think I watched much hockey this week.
You really kind of did not. I was floating by myself in a sea of hockey.
Yeah,
this week, I'm afraid.
I got distracted by being bored from hockey. I had other things to do. Work was a little crazy. So yeah, I don't really know too much of what's going on.
I don't know that that's really different than usual.
Probably.
You just have watched less and are confused.
Yeah.
Usually you've watched more and are also confused.
Exactly.
Well, that's okay, because that's why I'm here, to explain hockey to you against your will.
Yes.
In some cases. So I guess we'll just go ahead and get into it.
All right. I think it's time.
All right. Well, we're recording this on Sunday, October 20th. As of yesterday, the Nashville Predators are 0-5-0.
Oof.
Yes, they are the losingest team in the NHL right now.
Wow.
The only other winless team is the San Jose Sharks, but they actually have points on the board because they are 0-3-2. They've had 2 overtime losses. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have the Winnipeg Jets, who are the last undefeated team in the NHL at the moment.
Ah, okay.
So, things are starting to settle in a little bit. Teams have started to win. Some teams have started to lose. We're all kind of getting into it because, it's an 82-game season and nobody's going to stay undefeated or completely defeated throughout the season.
No, they're going to lose.
Yeah, or win eventually.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. That's just kind of how it goes.
Well, I must say I'm shocked by the Predators because, as you know, they were going to be my possible team.
They were on the list of the short list of candidates for Fred's team.
The 3 pickups they had, I thought, were going to make them invincible.
Right. And I don't really know enough about hockey to know why they don't. I guess it takes a while for the chemistry to click in. Maybe the coaching system isn't right for the kind of players they are.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen different things. The only thing I know for sure is that the only thing that can help them now is for them to plan a trip to a U2 concert and then cancel it.
I think that's where they have to go now.
It's the only solution to their problems.
They need some kind of team bonding exercise.
Yes, and then they need it to be canceled.
Right, exactly.
They need to be punished.
Yes.
It's the only thing that they respond to.
Yep.
Unless the U2 concert is the punishment.
Well, if we were going, that might be punishment.
It might be.
Yep.
It's true.
They seemed psyched, though.
They did. I mean, you and I are not hockey players. We come from a very different place. So I don't know what's exciting to hockey players.
But if I was in town and the Sphere, and that was what was going on at the Sphere, I'd go to U2.
That's true.
Yep.
That's true. Especially if I'm not paying for it, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely don't want to pony up the money for that.
And then we also have some other fun news. We have the Pittsburgh Penguins, who had a milestone game on Wednesday. Evgeny Malkin scored his 500th goal of his career.
Oh, yeah.
And in that same game, Sidney Crosby scored his 1600th point of his career.
Wow.
So these 2 old men out here just killing it. Crushing it.
Did we see that live? I felt like we saw that, or maybe it was just a clip.
I think it was just. I think I showed you some clips of it.
Okay.
So
yep.
You definitely didn't see it live. I feel like I did, maybe.
Okay.
But you barely watched our actual teams. You definitely didn't watch any ancillary teams.
No. It was a quiet week.
Yeah. And then outside of the NHL, we have some news too. The PWHL released their full season schedule.
Oh, there we go.
Yep. So their season's going to open on Saturday, November 30th with a game between the Toronto Scepters and the Boston Fleet at Coca-Cola Coliseum, which is the new home arena for the Toronto Scepters. And that seats 8,140 people. So they moved into a bigger arena space this year over the one they had last year.
Gotcha. So the demand is there.
The demand is there. And actually, the teams, there are 6 teams in the PWHL. They all played 24 games last year in the regular season. This year, they'll be playing 30 regular season games.
Nice.
So yeah, it's taken up. There's interest. They all also have names this year. Much like the Utah Hockey Club this year doesn't have an official name. The PWHL was just like Toronto and Minnesota.
Right. They looked like college teams out there before.
Yes, kind of. Yeah. So now they have actual names, and we kind of talked about those before, but just to refresh you.
Yeah, give me the rundown.
We have the Boston Fleet.
Oh, don't like that one.
The Minnesota Frost.
Mm-hmm.
The Montreal Victoire, which is French for victory, in case you didn't take high school French like I did. I'm very fancy. The New York Sirens, the Ottawa Charge, and the Toronto Scepters.
There's some hits and misses there for me. I mean, obviously, Fleet, that's no good. I get, like, being from New England, Fleet Center, like, boats, and it's a very Boston thing, but I just think Fleet Enema whenever I hear that. I just think they're sponsored by Fleet.
I mean, that is definitely a place where your mind goes. I think of Fleet like fast, but...
Okay. Yeah.
You know, that I'm a writer. I have a vocabulary, so
Right.
I'm very fancy.
Yep. What was the next one?
There was the Minnesota Frost.
All right. Spoiler alert, I think that's my favorite.
All right. I
Yep.
could see that.
Yep.
Yeah, that works. I mean, it's cold there. Ice is cold.
Ice cold.
It
Yep.
makes sense. It's
Frost.
nice and short and sweet. And
Yeah.
it works. I just don't love their logo. It looks like a Gatorade bottle.
Oh, right. It looks like a Gatorade Frost logo.
It does. Yeah.
yeah.
None of the graphic design really did it for me, but
Right.
and I'll try to remember to post those on our social media pages. But I think anybody who's listening to this has probably already seen those.
Probably.
I liked the Montreal Victoire.
Yeah, I think that one's grown on me, especially now that we've seen more of the Canadiens and just the general vibe of Montreal. I'm like, yeah, that's a good one.
Yes,
Yep.
exactly. New York Sirens. I kind of liked it better when I thought it was sirens, like the mythological, like
Yeah.
women who like sing sailors to their death. Now that I know that it's about like actual like wee oo sirens.
Yeah.
That's a little disappointing.
Yeah, that's the police team. That's the cops. Like,
Yeah. No, I want like murder ladies. Like
Right.
like murder ladies from the sea. I don't want cops.
Yeah. No, exactly. Very different.
Very like two ends of the spectrum. And yes, I'm a straight up murder lady from the sea end of the spectrum person myself. Ottawa Charge, still don't like it.
That one that feels like the free charging stations at the Ottawa airport or something. It's like,
Right?
hey, charge up your phone with Ottawa Charge.
Yeah, or it's like the credit card you get from like your local credit union.
Right, the
like
Ottawa-
your Ottawa Charge. Like no,
that one's a pass for me.
that one's not doing it.
All right.
And then the Toronto Scepters.
Yeah, I think I'm good with that.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It kind of falls into like the WNBA naming category for me, where it's sort of vaguely like regal, I guess.
Yeah.
So, well, regardless what I think of the names, the season last year was really good. I'm excited to see them play some more good hockey this year.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are going to be on board. I feel like last year was the year of lady sports,
Yeah.
and people are going to be tuning in, and I think they should.
Absolutely. Yeah. Even your mom got into the lady sports after living with us. She got into hockey just because you can't be around
You can't be in this house and not be into hocky.
It's like Stockholm Syndrome.
Yeah.
And I'm
It's
not
just
sorry.
easier to
You just have to lie back and think of England.
Exactly.
It's really that. But then she started sort of getting into the WNBA all on her own. And so definitely we're seeing that sort of growth with WNBA going up, which I haven't really gotten into. Neither have you, because you do not, in fact, like basketball.
That one's not for me.
That is not
That
a
entire game.
friend sport.
No, I played it in high school. I'm good.
I also played basketball in high school, and I shot 100% from the free throw line.
Out of how many shots?
I took one shot.
Hey, there you go.
But I made it, so there you go. I also have 3 points from the whole season, so there.
Minnesota Frost. Since I've decided that I like their name the best, do they have a star player on their team?
Oh boy, I am not so good.
Oh,
with
I just put you on the
remembering
spot.
Who is on what team in the PWHL? I did not pay as close attention as I would have liked to last year. And
I was really just asking if Nurse is on the Frost because I really like her. I don't like her brother, but
I think her cousin. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think she is not on Minnesota. Where is she on? She is on
Toronto.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's on the Toronto.
That makes
Scepters.
sense.
Exactly. Yes. And her cousin is on the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
That makes sense. Yeah, I'm honestly, you know what, we should come back and do once the PWHL season starts, we should come back and do like a little episode that sort of talks about some of the PWHL players that are really awesome, because there's some really fantastic ones who have been doing great stuff at the Olympic level for a really long time. National teams, killing it in college. And yeah, they're really changing the game. So it's very cool.
We watched a lot of their kind of silly YouTube content last year of them asking each other questions and all that stuff. And they're a delightful group of ladies.
Yes, it seems like when you are used to having to really promote yourself to get even like the basic living wage to be able to compete in a sport, you get a lot more personality than
Turns
when
out.
it's just sort of handed over as like, hey, this is a big fancy sport with lots of money. I mean, just an observation on my end.
Nope,
So
I think so.
So it's good. I'm excited to see where it goes this year. I think the first year went way better than a lot of people could have hoped and anticipated.
Yeah.
The hunger is there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and they were getting scrappy there towards the end of the year and pushing each other and punching each other. And I'm like, hell yeah.
they allow for contact, which is not usually a thing that happens with women's hockey. So I'm, again, really excited to see where it goes. And I'm starting to see clips now of female college hockey players who are doing some really cool things. Yeah. And getting real saucy out there. And people are saying, ooh, I can't wait to see her in the PWHL. And that's an experience I never thought I would get to see, as like people going, oh, you know, it's be like, oh, too bad she's not a boy. She'd be cool in the NHL. Like you'd occasionally get that. And then 99 other people would be like, she's not good enough to do that. But now it's like, oh, she could actually play professionally someday. And that's kind of amazing.
The conversation's changed for sure. I like the WNBA, as far back as I remember, was a joke to the dudes who like dude sports.
Yes.
And it's not anymore. So it's amazing.
Even your dad's watching it.
Yep. It's good.
It's fantastic. I love it. Any other news in the NHL that you're aware of that you wanted to talk about?
News in the NHL. I'm not aware of any news. Nope.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all the big stuff.
It was a pretty quiet week.
It was a pretty quiet week, which is good.
Everyone's just getting
a little bit of rest.
Yeah, everyone's just getting their footing.
Yep, and we're all just settling into it. So I think at this point we could go ahead and turn our attention to the stars.
Oh boy.
All right, get ready for it. You ready to settle in?
I'm ready.
It's gonna be a minute.
Yep. We've got stars news for sure.
Yes. I guess I'm going to start with sort of the big outside of the game news. On Thursday, Jake Ottinger, our goalie, signed a contract extension for 8 years at 8.25 AAV, which is very notably the same terms as Jeremy Swayman. So if Swayman did, in fact, reset the goalie market, which was kind of his intent, I feel like Dallas got a very team-friendly deal because Jake is more of a known quantity than Swayman. Yes, they have historically had pretty similar statistics. Jake did have a bit of a dip last year, but that was just sort of one-off.
I felt bad about that last year.
Yeah.
Because everyone was like, oh, he's taking a dip. And I'm like, man, it's only been like 4 games, but I guess that's enough to like, you know.
It did end up being sort of just overall his, save percentage was a little lower.
Right.
It just wasn't up to his usual standards. I still think that Jake Ottinger at his worst is better than a lot of goalies at their best.
Right.
And
definitely
he, was very aware of what his issues were and was working on them. I think it was more mental than physical for the most part. And he was really working diligently at it. He didn't really let himself get rattled by it or anything. He's come out super strong this season, has been making some really stupid saves, which are very enjoyable to watch. So I'm really excited for him. And yeah, I think we just have a bigger sample size to work on with him. You can look at his numbers sort of more over time. He's played, I think, 60 plus more games than Swayman has. They're the same age, but he's played a lot more at the NHL level than Swayman has, just because he's been sort of the starter for longer and hasn't been playing in a tandem. So
I'm not a big fan of that storyline of Swayman hasn't played enough games, but it's okay. I get it.
I'm just saying from like a contract, like looking at number standpoint.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. But I mean, that's just kind of continuing the trend I see with Dallas of people taking very team-friendly deals. Like Duchesne came back this year and signed 1 year for $3 million, which he definitely could have gotten more somewhere else. But
Jim Nill has information on them.
He definitely does not have information.
He's got information. He had information on Tanev last year too.
I'm pretty sure he did not, or we would still have him. But not that Jim Nill would blackmail people, because he's a very nice man.
But he does seem to get crazy deals.
He does, and I think it's just kind of the organization. It's very family friendly, team friendly kind of, this is what we're doing. We're taking care of you. We're togetherness.
Good for them.
Yeah, it's really nice. You can kind of see that reflected in the game that happened a couple days before Otter's contract extension. We played the Sharks. And that was the return of Ty Dellandrea.
Oh, I did see that game.
You did
or
see
a good
that
chunk
game.
of that game.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Ty Dellandrea was formerly a Star, got traded at the end of last season. I once saw him referred to online as our emotional support healthy scratch, and I've never been able to think of him in any other way. He was very, very loved on the team. It's honestly funny if you go online, you can find so many pictures of him like on couples vacations with other teammates where it's like all of them and their wives and girlfriends, and then there's like Ty Dellandrea there too.
You've shown me if you're going to Cabo, you're bringing him with you.
You're bringing him with you. And then like sometimes the like boys will go off and like play golf, and like the wives and girlfriends will go elsewhere. And like Ty Dellandrea likes to play golf, but like most of the time he's off with the wives and girlfriends. Like
Nice. Yeah.
he's just having a great time. A couple of years ago he walked on the green carpet with Tyler Sagan and his then girlfriend, now wife. So Tyler and his wife are holding hands, and then he and Ty Dellandrea have their arms linked on the other side. So he's fully just like the revolving like throuple of the Stars. He lived for a while with Jake Ottinger and his now wife, and they have said ever since then that they really think of him as their kid. So
interesting.
Yeah.
So he's just a lovable person, apparently.
He's a very lovable person. He was drafted by the Stars 13th overall back in 2018. And then Jake was drafted the next year, 26th overall in the 2019 draft. So the two of them kind of, got to know each other a little bit at like different development camps, but they really bonded. It was in sort of the COVID shortened season. We had those bubble playoffs.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm. I've seen clips of that, right? No crowds, just like exhibition games almost.
Exactly. So they weren't even, neither of them was on the roster at the time. They were what are called, I guess, Black Aces. So they are people who are in the minors that are affiliated with the Stars, like the AHL team or the OHL team, that are called up to sort of be backup in case of emergency in the case of the playoffs, which especially I think with COVID, you probably had to have as many people as you could get, because if people got COVID, you needed to have people who were already there in quarantine to fill in. So they were there, they were around, and then it really wasn't until early the next season that we got to see them playing so much, because with the timeline and everything, the playoffs happened much later. And then so the new season started pretty soon after that. And so a lot of the players were still recovering from the playoffs. And then also at training camp, everybody had COVID. So when like the games started up, there just weren't a lot of our regular players who could play. So Jake ended up getting his first start in January of 2021, and Dellandrea had played a few games, but that was the game where he scored his first goal.
Oh, nice.
So the two of them have been bros ever since then. Jake Ottinger has some people painted on his helmet, his goalie helmet.
Yeah.
His golf foursome. It's him and Mason Marchment, and then another friend that he met in like development camp, and then Ty Dellandrea. So when Ty Dellandrea came to face off against Jake Ottinger, he was on Jake Ottinger's helmet.
Wild.
Yeah. So I said a thing when it became clear that it was going to be Ty's return to Dallas. Do you remember what I said?
At the start of the game?
Yes.
Yeah, you said any player that's been traded to another team, the first time they play us, they're going to score a goal on us.
Yes, I said.
Essentially. You probably said it a little bit more eloquently.
I mean, what I said specifically was I said, Ty's going to score on us tonight.
There we go.
And then I explained why I thought that. How serious did you think I was?
I thought you were very serious, but calling something like that in this league seems difficult.
Right. And yet
he scored.
On
scored.
Jake. On Jake, yes, in the second period, he scored the go-ahead goal. We were tied 1-1, and so he scored to take it up to 2-1. And it was, I just felt very at peace because I knew that it was destiny.
It was closure to the whole situation for you.
It was.
And he looked good in that uniform.
I will say he really did. That like teal of the Sharks uniform, it really brings out his eyes. He was very smiley. He looked good. He looked happy. He looked healthy. He's a great player. He just really in the last couple years on the Stars kind of stalled out. I think he just wasn't we have so much depth. He just kind of wasn't quite at that next step. I think at the Sharks, he's going to get a lot more ice time, and I think he's great, and I love him, and we're going to miss him so much. But I wish nothing but the best for him.
And that's where Pavelski spent a good chunk of his career.
It is actually, I guess, Ty Dellandrea texted Pavelski from the Sharks facility and was like, I can't get away from you because they have so many pictures of him there in like the back rooms.
That's funny.
And he's like, you're everywhere. So that's really cute. Yeah. So it's kind of nice. It's like such a small little hockey world.
Yeah.
But I also really enjoyed too that a couple times throughout the game, Deli would like skate by Jake and like tap him with his stick. And then after Deli scored, he went by and Jake kind of tapped him a couple times with his stick. Just kind of like, good goal, man. You got me. So it's really sweet.
Yep.
So
awesome.
I really loved that. And also we won. So that was fine too.
Love that.
Before we move away from that game was really a goaltending duel. The Sharks goalie, Mackenzie Blackwood, was crazy good, stood on his head. Jake was fantastic too. So Rope scored a game tying goal. So we went into overtime and then we went into a shootout, which, everyone hates the shootout in the regular season for overtime because it's like, oh, it's a skills competition. It shouldn't be, that. But when the game really came down to sort of a goaltending battle, it actually makes sense for it to be a shootout like that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm. It felt good. So
I love a shootout. I don't care if it's a skills challenge. That's fun.
Yeah. I mean, in this case, it certainly felt fitting. And Wyatt Johnston got the game-winning goal. So that was always,
You love that?
I do. I love that. Wyatt's my fave.
Was that his first of the season?
I think he had maybe already had another goal, but it was his first ever OT goal. It was his first ever shootout goal. And it was maybe his first regular season OT goal. I know if he's had playoff OT goals, but I don't think he had a regular season OT goals.
Gotcha.
So I'd have to check my numbers, though.
Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot with weird stats.
With very specific questions.
Yeah.
So I'll have to double check this.
And I'm not actually interested.
And I'm not going to actually double check this. I'm going to completely forget about it.
Yeah, I don't care when he scored his first goal.
You really don't. It's true. Yep. This is just you trying real hard to make conversation. So we did move on to the Capitals on Thursday, and that is sadly where we lost our first game of the season.
Right.
Because when we're really going to just lose it, we're going to really lose to a top-notch, sharp team like the Capitals.
Is that sarcasm?
Yes.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah. No, I mean, they were fine. They looked good. They've just been kind of all over the place the last couple of years, but they were looking pretty good.
Well, we did see some of their YouTube content. They're funny guys.
Yes.
So at least they have that going for them now, at least in my book. I'm like, oh, they're fun.
Yes. And perhaps maybe if we did more stupid things like cookie roulette, where people have to eat cookies with chocolate or maybe mustard, maybe we'd have better team chemistry. I don't know. Let's investigate.
You should be in charge of the social media there.
I guess I should.
Get those Dallas guys to do silly stuff.
So the game was pretty good. I will say Colin Blackwell looked really great that game. He's one of our new forwards.
Oh, okay.
You're not going to be familiar with him because you haven't been watching any of the games.
I was like, what? The goalie from...
No, that's Blackwood. This is Blackwell.
Yep, I'm tracking now.
Yeah, there you go. No, he was really good. He had a shorthanded breakaway goal that was very flashy. Lots of showmanship. Really good.
Awesome.
And then he basically skated right into the glass and confronted fans with his awesomeness after that. So yeah, and I had never heard of him before. He's 31. He's been in the league a long time. We're his sixth team that he's been on. So he's just been kind of around, but he's really settled into the system very well. And he's playing with a lot of pizzazz, especially sort of by Dallas standards. So
awesome.
Yeah, so I'm really enjoying watching him. And then Robo also scored, but the Capitals beat us 3-2. Honestly, the most interesting part of that game for me was about 4 minutes left in the third period when there was a little skirmish at the boards. And you can attest, I went back to watch it today to see if I could figure out what started it.
Yep.
And I did not, in fact, figure out what started it, but Wyatt Johnston and Tom Wilson were getting into it. And Wyatt was just laughing his ass off, and it was really cute.
Yeah. And Tom Wilson, he's the dirty guy. He's a dirty player, generally considered.
He for sure has that reputation. He's cleaned it up a lot in the last couple of years, but I know 2017, 2018, he at that point in particular was getting suspended a lot. Over the course of his career, he's spent over 1,400 minutes in the penalty box. So
yeah.
And he's also 6'4", 220. So he's a
Oh, is he that? Oh, wow.
He's a big boy.
Yeah.
Wyatt, on the other hand, is 6'1", 185. So he is a very tiny boy in comparison. But in this skirmish, and also one back in January of 2024, they've gotten into it, 2 separate times. And both times, Wyatt just seems to find it hilarious. He's just got his mouth guard hanging out. He's laughing right in Tom's face. I'm not sure what's going on there, but I've nicknamed that new alter ego Riot Johnston.
There we go.
Because he just doesn't give a fuck. And it's cool.
Yeah.
Like, he, and we've seen that a little bit too. Like, people go after him and he is like
unfazed, right?
He's unfazed and he's not confrontational about it, but he doesn't like back down, and he's very smirky, and it's fun because he's so sort of like puppyish, off camera, or sort of on camera, off the ice. He's very like sweet and polite Canadian boy, but I don't know, something about it when these sort of big guys try to get in his face. It's almost like Jamie Benn tried to teach him like the dead-eyed shark thing. And he was like, no, I can't do that, but I can giggle.
Right. Yeah.
So it's his own version, but it's still sort of delightfully unhinged, but in a really cute way.
He knows he's going to lose the staring contest, so he just laughs at them instead.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
There's something going on, but it's really cute and I love it. So yes, that is Riot Johnston right there in my eyes.
Fantastic. I hope to see Riot Johnston more this year.
I would really love that.
I want to see him drop the gloves. I want to see him fight.
Why not? Like, let's do it. But also don't hurt yourself, because we need those mitts. But do it. Like, I don't know. I just like seeing the spark. Like, we need the spark. And then yesterday we had a matinee game against the Oilers. And to be honest, the boys looked very sleepy.
Yeah, I saw some of that.
I think that game was during their usual nap time.
Definitely Jamie's nap time. He was down in the corner at one point, and I was like, is he just standing there with the puck? They're going to take it away from him. And then he turned around and passed it to him. And I was like, okay, that works too.
Yeah, it was not necessarily the best showing. We got really lucky that Jake was like on one yesterday and made some really outstanding saves the first half of the game, really. And then I think it was scoreless pretty much right until the very last part of the second period. We went on the power play, and I remember saying out loud to the TV, there was like 20 seconds left. We were just about to go on the power play, and I said, hey guys, you should score right now, because if you do, it'd be really demoralizing for them. And then 2.9 seconds later, Matt Duchene scored a goal. So I would just like to say you're welcome. I'm a very good hockey coach.
That was pretty funny.
It was.
I was sitting there when that happened, and that's exactly how it happened.
Yes.
Just off the draw, boom, goal.
Exactly. Just like how I said Ty Landry was going to score. See?
Yeah.
I know things.
I know. We need to get you on the sports book or whatever, the fan duel.
No, we're not going to do that. Don't even get me started on that. We don't have enough time in the day.
Yeah.
But we did end up winning that game against the Oilers 3-0, which was really nice.
Oh, I love that.
I know. I'll always take that. So yeah, we did score a few more times in the third. We had some really good goals involving like Marchment and Rope, and then like Stankovic and Robo.
Nice.
So really good passing, like really good connections. Really nice. I'm actually gonna after this sit down and force you to watch those highlights, because they were really, really good. Yeah, no, it felt like it took them a while to wake up, but once they did, you know how like that feeling when you oversleep for work and then like you're all panicked and you have to get up and like run around really fast and pull it together? That was kind of like how it was. It was like they were like, oh shit, I'm so late. And then they just like ran right into the presentation and nailed it on the first try, like all adrenaline.
That's pretty funny. That's a good way to put it. Yeah, that's the way the game felt, because I definitely zoned out during that. What I did see of that game.
I mean, I don't blame you, because they had also zoned out.
Yep.
So it was not ideal. Sadly, the only reason Jake didn't get a shutout was because right before the end, Leon Draisaitl scored a goal, which I take as a personal attack because he does not want me to have nice things. I think that's all we have for the Stars, really.
There we go.
Yeah. So we can move on to the Flyers.
All right. How about them Flyers?
How about them?
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Listen, I know you might be having buyer's remorse.
I'm not.
Good. Okay, good.
So I just wanted to say, so they didn't do very well and haven't been doing very well on a lot of fronts.
This week they had 3 games and they did not win any of those games.
Not a game. Yep. So I definitely, when I hear chatter and people talking about, them needing a lot of work. And I feel like that showed this week where I'm like, oh, they do need a lot of work in a lot of areas. And I see it now. Basically, their game just isn't up to that high standard. And that it didn't even feel like up to the NHL level, honestly, the last game that we saw.
It was very scrambly.
Very scrambly. It looked unprofessional, and I will say that doesn't worry me in the least. I'm on board with them.
Good. That's I think really the right attitude to have. You know, they're still in a rebuild. They're still in the very early phases of a rebuild. It could be a couple more seasons. I still think there's so much good going on there, though. I don't think you can like look at the losses and out of context and be like, oh no, they suck.
Right.
Like, even though there was a lot of booing yesterday during their home opener.
The fans, they're a riot over there.
They are. But, as much as there was a lot of booing yesterday, it was also like the fullest that arena has been in a really long time, from what I understand.
Nice.
So particularly for a home opener. So the people are coming. The people are excited and interested again. But in Philly, they turn on you like the drop of a hat.
Apparently. So. Yeah. That's tough. But I get it, I guess. I would never do that. Makes sense for Philly.
But you're a kinder, gentler sports fan.
Yeah, very.
You're just as long as everyone had a good time.
Yeah. I mean, they're obviously not having a good time, and I'm not having a good time watching them either. But it's okay. That's fine.
Okay.
I will say I am underwhelmed and almost disappointed in Fedotov.
Yeah, you're not the only one. Fedotov's definitely struggling.
Yeah.
He, out of the 3 games that went on this week, I think he only played in one of them, which was the second one against the Kraken, which they lost 6-4.
Yeah. At least 2 or 3 of those goals were just straight up his fault.
Yeah.
Like bad goaltending.
Yeah.
And, which is a bummer because I was real excited about him for some reason. I know he's got a cool backstory. He's super giant. He seems really nice. He's got a lot going on in his life. I was hoping for the best, but so far, no.
Goalies, it's a really tough position. It's as much psychological as it is physical, maybe even more so. And the goalie position in Philly has been particularly cursed as of late. So there's a lot of pressure on him. Part of sort of the scope of him coming in as late as he did is, he is now signed on like a full contract. So the whole thing is a lot.
Yeah.
I'm hoping he can turn it around, but there's a lot going on there.
Yeah. We'll see.
And then Kolosov, who's supposed to maybe, be able to step up if Fedotov can't pull it together, I've heard is also struggling at the AHL level. I haven't had a chance to really check in on that personally.
Gotcha.
But now it's basically looking like
it's Urson or bust.
Urson or bust again, which, last year he did a heroic job of keeping them in it for a really, really long time until he could no longer carry the entire team on his shoulders because he was not really supposed to be an NHL starter himself. He's still, even with his losses, he's doing an extraordinary job. Yeah,
he looked well. Torts liked his last game. I will say the Torts interviews are getting better. They're less abstract, and he's talking more now about the plays and the players. So that's good. But yeah, you can tell he's disappointed, and he's got a lot to work on.
Yeah, we are getting some good stuff, though. Michkov has now scored 2 goals officially.
Man, people are hyped about him, huh?
He's real good, though.
Yeah, right.
He's great. He's so fun to watch. I think just a big part of the problem is that the team can't keep up with him yet. He has so much vision, and I don't think that anybody else can see what he sees yet.
Right.
And they can't be there when he is like sending that puck to them to bury. So
yeah, I feel like the team can't keep up with themselves either.
That is also pretty accurate.
There's a number of times where there's just one dude down trying to score a goal, and I'm like, where are the rest of them? Oh, here they come.
Yeah.
That's not good.
That is pretty accurate.
Yeah.
As per usual, they always feel strongest to me when they're on the penalty kill. They get their most dangerous chances when they're shorthanded.
Yeah.
The other day, I think it was yesterday, there was a power play where they had like 3 really solid chances and the other team didn't get one. So
But they are risky when they bring it down to that other end.
They're so risky, but you know what? That's part of what makes it fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yesterday they lost, I want to say 3-0 to the Canucks. I would still kind of rather watch that than the first half of the Dallas game where it's a bunch of sleepy boys standing around.
Yeah.
I enjoy the Dallas win at the end better? Yes, of course. Mm-hmm. But I would rather watch some scrambly hockey where they're trying real hard than some sleepy boys just passing the puck to the other team. So
Agreed.
That's where I'm at.
Well, we'll see how they do this week, but I don't know.
It's going to be a long road. There's going to be lots of ups and downs. It's a bumpy road. It's not even paved in some sections.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot going on. So, but I still like them.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to reassure you that I'm still happy with my decision.
Good. I'm very happy to hear that. Well, I've left a little time for us to do something fun. So we've got a little game to play. Yeah, absolutely. One thing we skipped over in the news segment was that, professional athletes endorse all kinds of products. And this week, the internet was abuzz with the news that John Tavares had endorsed a so-called magical amulet, which is also promoted by pseudo-intellectual lowlife and known creep Russell Brand.
Ouch.
Yes. So the product in question, I'm not going to even name what it is. They don't need my help.
They're not sponsoring this.
They're not sponsoring this. If you want to give me money, I will say your name, but I'm still going to make fun of you. So you might not want to give me money. But I sent you the link to it. So it's not really actually an amulet. They're just
they're stickers.
They're stickers that you put on your electronics, and they're supposed to
block the electromagnetic frequencies.
Right. Now, I'm a liberal arts major myself. You're more of the sciencey guy.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is bullshit.
Turns out it is. I found one good quote about this technology in quotes. It's not a new concept in the world of, snake oil sales. But a biomedical engineer said, "I'm not aware of any physical principle by which such devices could work."
All right. Well, that sounds pretty authoritative.
The laws of physics are the problem.
Who are you going to believe? Some biophysicist or John Tavares, who has said that he uses these and he has, quote, seen tremendous benefits to my recovery and overall health.
Wow.
Definitely using stickers on your electronics will help your healing.
Well, yeah, it's going to block all the radiation and stuff
from making your sprains worse.
Yeah. And now the thing he's hawking here is not cheap either, right?
No. It is a 3-pack of these stickers is $240. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And they can't be moved from electronic device to electronic device. They
it's just one and done?
Yeah, it's just one and done.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because the adhesive doesn't work if you transfer it elsewhere. So
yeah, that's going to be a hard sell. I mean, aluminum foil, it's much cheaper. You can fashion it into a hat. You can't make these things into a hat.
I know. And you can get really creative with aluminum foil. You could make a Viking helmet.
Sure.
You could do a tiara. I mean, there's an endless amount of ways you can express your creativity.
Right.
And yeah, so I was like, why are they calling it magical amulets though? That's just a Russell Brand thing. I guess he referred to it as a magical amulet because he still thinks he's quirky and whimsical and does not realize that he is a total alt-right grifter.
What I learned about electromagnetic frequencies is that it's real hard to avoid them, and you either need to stand inside a Faraday cage or become Amish. It doesn't involve stickers.
I feel like Amish people have good pies.
Yeah.
So that could be something.
But John Tavares is in his house that's wired with electricity, and he has microwaves and he has televisions, and he's sitting there with a sticker on his phone thinking that he's blocking. The house itself has all that going on with the power being run to the house. Anyway.
Someone pointed out that the interviewer, Russell Brand, called it a magical amulet. He was using a wireless microphone that did not have a sticker on it. So.
Yeah, and if they actually worked, by the way. Your cell phone's not going to work. Right,
exactly. Because it's the stuff that makes it work, right?
Yeah, it's going to block the stuff that makes it work.
Yeah, Anyway. Long story short, it is in fact bullshit.
Yeah, take the money and run.
Good for you.
John Tavares.
Yes. So, John Tavares, that's the product he's endorsing. So I thought it would be funny to track down some other products on the market that are unusual. They could just be kind of fun and quirky to truly stupid. So I did a little roundup of those, and I figured we could look at them and decide what NHL player might endorse these products.
I love it.
All right. So the first one I found, it's called a Scream Jar.
That thing's hilarious.
It's great. So it's a jar, and you kind of can just put your mouth over it and you scream, and it just muffles your voice. So it's like a normal speaking voice.
Right. So you can go around the house screaming
Yeah.
getting your catharsis, but not disturbing people.
Exactly. I think it's really great if you have roommates or if you live in like the city, you won't disturb your neighbors. So you can just really, scream into the void, but while being considerate of those people around you.
Yeah, it's wild. It's literally a 3D printed vase.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
That you just scream into.
Right.
That's great. So I'm wondering who you think would endorse this.
Well, I think McDavid would dig the fuck in is the obvious choice.
That's exactly who my mind.
Can you imagine him in the locker room like, oh, I'm not going to scream, but I'm going to scream into this thing? That'd be amazing.
No, I just feel like he would probably have them all over his house, and they're kind of like weird looking and sort of modern-ish. Like they would fit right into his weird like home decor.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't even think twice. You'd be like, oh, it's a modern vase over there.
Yeah, you could just have them in every single room. And just whenever he starts to feel overwhelmed by life, which I imagine is quite frequently, he could just go pick up one of his scream vases and just scream his head off and then just be like, fine.
Yep.
I think it could be really helpful for him.
It might.
Really therapeutic, maybe.
Maybe.
The next item I found was a crazy straw made by Tiffany & Co.
Yeah, that thing's wild.
I'm a little sad that this is a couple years out of date because I don't think that they're available anymore, or else I would be absolutely insisting that I would get one of these for myself.
This is probably like a response to Save the Turtles kind of stuff.
It absolutely is. It's like, oh yeah, you need to have a reusable straw. Tiffany's got you covered with these sterling silver crazy straws. They're just like the loopy crazy straws, but they're made out of sterling silver and they're plated.
That's so fun.
With like... rose gold or like gold. So
it is cute that they went with a crazy straw as opposed to like a refined Tiffany straw.
That is funny. That's what makes it sort of quirky and funny to me. And it also is what makes it truly stupid.
Yeah.
Because these things, I believe, were like $240 at the time, something in that range. So, yes, $250. So that's something that I really feel like that's something I can see a hockey player really getting behind and endorsing.
Right.
So in my mind, I immediately went to Mitch Marner.
Ah, okay. I don't know much about him. Why Mitch Marner?
I just feel like he kind of has this perpetually sort of young and innocent and silliness vibe to him that I've never quite been able to let go of. Like he's, I don't know, around 30 almost and still very much looks like he did as an 18-year-old. Yeah, or he's like 28 or something.
Yeah, he's old.
Around Connor McDavid's
age. Oh, no, I thought he was young.
Oh, yeah, no, he's like in his late 20s.
Gotcha.
He still looks very much like a baby.
Yeah.
And then, he's on the Maple Leafs. He hangs out with like William Nylander and Austin Matthews.
Right.
I feel like it's an ostentatious bunch, but like for him, I feel like he's not going to be splashing out on like, I don't know, big fancy houses or cars. But I do feel like a $250 crazy straw might be right up his alley.
Yeah, and he could be the face of the straw.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could totally see it.
Yep. Well, I started down one road with the straw and I was trying to think of like, we're going to save the planet kind of person. But then I realized, these guys have like a larger carbon footprint than Taylor Swift at this point with the amount of miles they log on the jets. So then I went with the blingy aspect. And the only thing I could come up with was Nylander because of his chains.
I can see that.
I feel like he's got a blingy chain, like blingier than Matthews, I think. So anyway, that was my choice there. It seemed posh. It seemed to fit. So
I do have Nylander on the list, but a little bit later. So we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the next item I have is the Smart Jump Rope.
Yes.
So it's a jump rope.
Yeah.
But it's digital. So it keeps track of how many times that you jump.
And who sells it?
It's from Goop.
Yeah.
The Gwyneth Paltrow wellness brand that's also bullshit.
Right. So she's essentially Sharper Image now.
I mean, among many other things.
Yeah. Because I can imagine this being sold at Sharper Image in the 90s and 2000s.
Oh, for sure.
Yep.
No, I'm sure it's in like the Air Mall.
Air Mall. Yeah,
too.
It's got that vibe.
1,000%. So who did you pick for this one?
Well, so I Googled who is the fittest player in the NHL, which led me down a rabbit hole of nonsense.
I'm sure.
However, I did end up on a Reddit post talking about the fitness of NHL players, and it had a bunch of basically thirst trap pictures of various NHL players in an album.
Could you please send me a link to this for research purposes?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'll let you know who was the first picture in the photo album. It was Tyler Sagan with no shirt and a jump rope in his hands.
This sounds like a very well thought out resource that I definitely need to avail myself of.
Yep.
They definitely sound like they know what they're talking about.
Yeah. As soon as I saw the jump rope in his hands, I was like, well, it's that guy.
You know, I don't think you're wrong. That actually makes a lot of sense.
I'll send you the link for this, but one of like the third comment down is like, Mom, get off Reddit.
All right. I went a little different with that. I actually don't know this player very well. I went with Andrei Burakovsky from the Seattle Kraken.
Okay.
Mostly what I know about him is he is very silly and maybe a little airheaded.
Okay.
Just from what I've heard other players talk about him, that it's kind of miraculous that he manages to live in the world and survive. He, the Kraken did sort of their photo shoot this year.
Mm-hmm.
They were on like a pile of like plush salmon or something.
Oh, I remember, yeah.
And he was kind of like laying on his side with his hand on his hip and his hip cocked and just looking very sort of flirty and dim, maybe.
Yeah.
And he just seemed to me like very like, I'm very physically fit and also I can't count.
Right.
And I don't know. I just thought maybe like
he needs to take something off the plate while he's doing jump rope.
Exactly. I just feel like he just really needs to focus on the jumping and maybe not the counting aspect.
Right.
So, and again, I don't really know anything about him other than what I've heard about him on other podcasts.
He's probably a very
from
nice
other
person.
Players.
He's probably going to email us now.
No, I've heard from everybody that he's a really nice person, but also he just maybe is a little flighty. So that's just what I've heard. So I don't know. That's what I went with.
All right. I like it.
All right. For the next one, I went with a champagne saber.
Yeah.
So, it's a sword you use to open up your champagne.
Right.
Because
that's how you open champagne.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to just like open it like a normal person.
No.
You're a hockey player. You need to open it with a fucking sword.
Yeah, exactly. If you're making over $1 million a year and you're opening your champagne normal,
Yeah, like come on, get a little showmanship in here. Come on.
So what was yours on this one?
I went Ovechkin.
Why?
Well, the Capitals a couple of years ago, their after game thing was they would give each other like a Viking axe for the player of the game. So it just seemed like they're very comfortable with sharp objects there. And then just the whole like flashiness, pomp and circumstance thing seemed very Ovechkin-esque to me.
Nice. Well, so the first thing I thought that would be funny was someone from the Buffalo Sabres.
Oh, that is a good one.
Right? So I looked up their roster, and apparently I only know 2 names on their team. And one is Jack Quinn. And the other one is Luukkonen. And I don't know anyone else.
All right. Well,
so I decided not to go with the Sabres. And I went with Ovechkin because apparently he likes shots on the ice and off the ice.
Okay, there you go. That makes sense too. I like it. All right. Well, for the next one, this is actually the one where I went Nylander. This is a custom luxury dog mansion.
Yeah, those are nice.
Yeah, they so I linked to a specific website and they'll make ones that look exactly like your own house.
Yes.
If you want, but I'm sure you can decorate, design one however you wanted it to look. Now, I'm sure these are probably intended to grow outside. I doubt William Nylander would make his dogs live in an outside doghouse. I'm sure they would live inside of his house with him.
Yeah.
But if we learned anything from that Face Off documentary, it's that the man really loves his dogs.
True.
And it's like, oh, I could see him getting maybe like a fancy like Burberry leash, except he doesn't seem to leash his dogs. So I went with a really fancy custom luxury dog house that looked like a mansion. It just seemed like the kind of thing he would do for those little fluff balls.
Yep, definitely. It does seem to be, well, I looked up NHL players and dogs because, again, I only know so many NHL players.
It's true.
And dogs and NHL players, definitely there's a whole world of dogs and NHL players. For this one, it took me a while. It took me a lot of research, but Draisaitl is really into his dog.
Oh, that is correct. His dog has an Instagram page.
I was going to say, yeah. So, I came across what some Redditors described as thirst trap pictures of him with his dog, and I could see it. And then, so I typed in, him and his dog, and I ended up on Bowie's World.
Bowie, I think.
Bowie, his dog. So, yeah, own Instagram page. And then I was like, well, how fresh is this? Is this like they haven't posted in 2 years? No, they posted 2 weeks ago. So, that dog is very important in that life.
Yes.
So yeah, that was my choice, was Draisaitl.
I have to say, when we started this podcast, I did not anticipate that by week 3, I would have you looking up NHL thirst trap pictures.
Well, I mean, they just pop up. I mean,
a likely story. So the next item I chose was grass flip-flops.
Yeah.
So these are flip-flops, but instead of just like a rubber sole, they have grass.
Yeah, like artificial grass.
Like artificial grass.
Yeah. I think
turf.
it's pretty clear who this one is.
All right. Who did you choose?
Matthew Tkachuk.
Oh, that's a really good one.
Because his flip-flops during the thing we saw.
That's true.
Right?
I think you might have it.
He's got his flip-flops in the sand. Now, the only thing it's missing is a bottle opener, like in the heel of it.
That's true. That he would really need that.
Yeah, I feel like if it had a bottle opener, he'd sign on to promote this everywhere.
I could see that. I think you might actually have that one. I went with Seth Jarvis, and I don't know why. He just looked, I don't know, Carolina just feels like a place where you would totally wear grass flip-flops.
Yeah.
And also, he just looks like a guy who would totally be like, yes, this is obviously what I'm going to wear to this black tie event tonight.
No, I can see Seth Jarvis. I believe, I don't know much about him, but I would imagine there's more than 5 Hawaiian shirts in his closet.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. And again, this is me going off, not knowing anything about him, just the vibes, just like Andrei Burakovsky and the smart jump rope. But no, I think you're really onto something with Matthew Tkachuk thing.
Yeah, it was just
I forgot about his devotion to flip-flops.
Yeah, when he went out with that little, like, he was on his golf cart and then he,
Went to the beach.
illegally parked, and yeah, he was walking in his flip-flops.
Very good point.
Yep.
Next, we have the Xanax candle.
Man, this is trendy as hell, huh?
It's pretty fun, right?
Yeah.
Also called the Xandal, I suppose.
The Xandal.
So it's just a big candle, like a 6-inch candle that looks like a Xanny bar.
Yep.
It says Xanax on it.
Yep.
And that's it. It's just a candle.
Yeah. Now, I don't feel like anyone's actually going to promote this. Like, if they were approached by this company, I don't feel like that would be a good look for the NHL.
I guess probably not, but it's just really great.
It is.
And we might need to get one.
Okay.
So I chose Quinn Hughes for this one.
Quinn Hughes. Why Quinn Hughes?
He just looks like he needs a Xanax, man.
Oh, God.
He's
does.
real sad.
Oh, that's a good one.
He looks real sad and depressed all the time.
Man.
I think that I didn't even like really think that, oh, yeah, no, of course this wouldn't be a product that somebody could or would actually endorse. It's just as soon as it came up on my web search, I was like, oh, that has to be on the list because Quinn Hughes needs one of those.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nope, that's good. So I went. This is gonna blow your mind when I say this.
Okay.
All right. I went with Pierre-Luc Dubois.
Oh, wow. I did not know you knew who that was.
I guess I do, as of now. No, so I think we've seen some content with him from Montreal, and we've been delighted by him. He's kind of adorable. But he is like the DJ guy.
He's with the Caps now.
Oh, is he?
Yes.
Well, see, I don't know who he is. Anyway, was he with them at one point? Or does he just have a French name and I think he's from Montreal?
I believe he was with them, or maybe he wanted to be with them. He's moved around a lot. He's considered somewhat difficult.
Ah, okay. Well, anyway, he's apparently really into being the locker room DJ. And his go-to is electronic dance music, and Calvin Harris and Avicii are some of his top.
I mean, then I think that all really checks out.
I went with it a slightly different way. I went with the party aspect.
You went with the party aspect and not the, like, my mental health is suffering.
Right,
aspect.
exactly. Yeah. So,
valid either way. I think it could go in either direction.
But yeah, as you can see, I've had to do a little research for this list.
And that's understandable. And that's part of why we're doing these exercises, is so I can get you to learn more about NHL players.
Yeah.
It's good. Hopefully it's helping you a little bit.
It is, yeah. I mean, we watch enough, YouTube content of all the players that I should maybe start retaining some of it.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be nice.
Yeah.
All right. And then we have one more product. I just Googled fancy coffee maker, fancy expensive coffee maker.
Right.
And I found this one. It's called the Electrabel Epoch coffee machine. It looks kind of like a cross between a spaceship and a robot. It's copper and gold. It's insane. I don't know what it does. I just know it's amazing.
Yeah.
It looks so cool.
$26,000.
It's $26,000
for a coffee maker.
For a coffee maker.
I mean, it is obviously fancy, but
it's so cute.
It's
very cute. I will again try to remember to post a picture of this to our social media. So this one, who did you choose for this?
So I went with Austin Matthews on this.
Okay.
And So the reason I chose that is I can just imagine him like buying a house, and or his house is big, right? He's known for the ostentatious.
Probably. I don't know anything about where he lives, but I could see it being huge.
Yeah, he's got a giant mansion. And I can just imagine when they were filling it up with stuff, couches, TVs, etc. Someone's like, "Oh, do you want a coffee machine?" He's like, "Yeah, I want a coffee machine. Yeah, just go on Google and sort price high to low and pick that one." So
yeah, no, I could definitely see that being a thing.
That was my vision of Matthews picking that out.
That makes sense.
He didn't even pick it out. Somebody else picked it out for him.
Of course not. So mine, I went in a very different direction. And I don't think of this person as somebody who would normally spend this much money on an expensive coffee machine. But I went with professional iPad kid Jason Robertson.
Interesting.
Because it just looks like a friendly little guy. Like it looks like a cute little friend that would like anthropomorphize and turn into like your little sidekick in a Pixar movie.
Right.
And I just feel like a professional iPad kid, Jason Robertson, is going to have a coffee machine. He might as well have one that could maybe turn into a robot and be his friend.
That's a short story that needs to be written.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I just think that, maybe it gets lonely sometimes in the house, and it would just be nice for him to be able to talk to his coffee machine.
Yeah.
While his iPad's charging.
No, I can see him being into that.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's very stupid, but so are magical amulets. So
yeah, right.
I can't see anything being stupider than a magical amulet. So
yeah, and as a result of all this, I do have a nickname for Tavares that's going to stick in my head now. He will forever be known to me now as the Kool-Aid Man since he's drank the Kool-Aid.
Oh no!
Yeah, how about that? No. Is that a dad joke?
I think that's kind of a dad joke right there.
Anyway, I like it.
I like it too. All right, and that's the end of regulation for this week's episode of Ice is Slippery. You can find us on both Tumblr and Instagram at Ice is Slippery Pod, where I post content whenever I remember. If, like Fred, you are afraid of social media, you can also email us at iceisslipperypod@gmail.com, where we would love to hear your spicy takes or get suggestions for future games. Until next week, stay out of the penalty box.